All right, I should be live now. I think so.
Where am I supposed to sit?
Should be under Clay Buddies.
And then Ken, where's your extra pen?
Hello, everybody. Okay, there's people on there. Can you hear me?
I see you now.
Okay. Are there comments? There is a 20-second delay. I'm live.
Alright, I'm turning the volume up. Nothing's in there yet.
Okay. I'm going to tell everybody to be quiet. Hi, folks. Ooh, let's see. It's not quite 3 o'clock, so we have about 10 more minutes for people to join us. Hopefully everybody can see and hear me. Hi. Everybody's getting set up. Okay.
I turned the volume off.
Okay. Just want to make sure I have all my paperwork handy. Oh. Looks like we have a lot of people joining us.
Stacy says thanks so much for presenting. Take your time. Gail says hi from Raleigh.
Who?
Gail says
Hi.
hi from Raleigh.
Hi, everybody. The Oregon coast. Okay. My daughter Crystal is helping me. All right, sorry. Something just popped up on my phone. My daughter Crystal is helping me. She's going to be reading me any questions that people might be having as we come up. And the man that keeps walking behind me is Mike. I kind of share a space with him. We have a few more minutes yet. This is exciting. It's been a great week watching all the different workshops and tips. And I even actually made some things already that I got some ideas from people. So hopefully I can help inspire you to add into your work. Phew. 5 minutes takes a long time, doesn't it?
Do you have all your stuff?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I have everything here ready to go. I'm going to be showing 2 different techniques. So,
Kathy Marina says hi.
hi, Kathy. Hi, Maria. Yes, I got your shot glass just a little while ago. It's beautiful. Thank you so very much. Hi, Carly. Hi, Laura. All my friends are popping in. A couple more minutes and we'll start right at 3 o'clock. This is exciting to be able to do this. I was looking forward to going to Enseca. It's in my home state. We're about 2 hours away. And when it came down that they were canceling it, a lot of people were upset. And for Stacy and Tim and everybody involved with Clay Buddies pulling this together, I think it's truly awesome. We get to meet, not actually meet, but get to talk and share our experiences, our talents, our techniques. Um, all right, Carly. Goodness. I think I started just a little too soon, but I can hear the guys. I'm not sure if you hear the voices in the background, but I'll make them be quiet shortly. It's Mike Swager. He's the kiln doctor here in Front Royal, Virginia. He services all of our schools and pottery equipment. And we share our business. Him as the kiln doctor and myself and my daughters as Explore Art and Clay, where we teach pottery classes. We have a paint your own pottery studio. We also have a gallery and we sell supplies. So I've been very fortunate that I have the clay and glazes here. So unfortunately lately though, everybody's been coming in and buying up all of our supplies, and a lot of the manufacturers have closed down. So it might be a while before we get some more stuff in, but we're waiting for a shipment of clay. So hopefully within the next day or two, we can get it before they close down all of our businesses. We still have a few more minutes here.
Okay, Stacy says she doesn't hear the boys, so you're good.
Oh, okay, good. I can hear them behind me. They make a lot of noise here sometimes when they're working on the equipment. The back half there, we call that the emergency room. That's where they repair the kilns and pottery wheels and all that kind of stuff.
Lisa says you have a nice big studio, very clean.
Yes. Yes, I do have a big studio. I've been very fortunate. It is open to the public, that we do allow other potters who don't have a studio to come in. I have 4 wheels. I have 4 kilns, 2 large ones and 2 small ones. So I'm able to constantly fire other people's work. Let's see, what else do we have?
Oh, Lisa says Mike has been to her studio. She's in Reston.
Oh, okay. Yes. Mike travels all over. We do 4 different states as far as service and repair. Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and DC. So if anybody in those areas needs your kiln worked on, or your potter's wheel, or pug mills, or whatever, he's the guy to call. And he's a pretty good guy. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and met Mike through a kiln manufacturer. And here I am. I was thinking it was only 10 years ago, but it's more closer to 15 years that we've been together. So we're a good fit. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. The first half of the hour, what I'm going to be working on is Underglaze image transfer. Most of my work is hand painted, and I'm an artist that I've been painting all my life, from painting on paper to canvas to wood. I have a woodworking shop, and I came into clay about 15 years ago. So the one day I had a friend potter come in. She happened to see one of my designs, and she says, "Oh, you need to put that on clay." So this is it. It's a garden flower scene with irises and daisies and poppies and alyssum at the bottom. I've painted this design for over close to 30 years now. Started out on a watering can, and it's now on pottery. Once I started doing that, it got a little crazy. People wanted it. But then I started having other potters asking me how I did it and how they could do it. So I know there's some very talented people out there that probably could replicate the way I paint, but I kind of came up with a way to making it a little bit easier. I've already taught a couple image transfer classes similar to this. This is one of my original cups that I made. This was not done freehand. It was done by using an image transfer to press it over top of it. One of the things that we're going to be using, this is another one. If you like stained glass and you want to have that look on your pottery, you can do it. That's it. bull in a trap here. So what we're going to start with, I have an image here that I took off of the internet of flowers, and with the magic of the copiers and printers, you can make them different sizes so that you can fit it onto large bowls, plates, Christmas ornaments, anything that you want. To get started, I have this book of designs and coloring. Let's see. I picked today. Now I won't be able to use this right away because it does take time for it to dry. I'll show you these other pieces a little bit later. All right, here we go. What you're going to need is an applicator. I got these off of Amazon. I will post the link, sorry, thank you, for you to find them and order them yourselves. It's a 2-ounce bottle. I like them because the needle comes off and it's easier to clean. I do have some Amico applicators, and with these I usually just keep a straight pin to keep them from drying out too much. I want to thank Dana Danslair. She's the one that introduced these bottles to me. And she uses guitar strings to clean out the needles. But you have to remember to keep them clear so that they don't dry up inside your piece. Now what I'm going to do is turn the camera down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see. Move some of this paper out of the way. For some reason I'm getting... Oh. Can everybody see this? Are we okay seeing that? All right, let me see if I can, for some reason it's not. There we go. What I do is I have a picture of irises. All right. You're going to get tissue paper. I know people use rice paper, but I found with tissue paper, it's cheap. And you want to make sure you get the tissue paper that is has no gloss to it, because if there's too much of a gloss, it just smears. So what I'll do is actually take my black Underglaze, which is Amico Velvet, and then I'll start tracing the actual designs. And it's just kind of like drawing with a pencil. And depending on how hard you squeeze on the bottle, will determine how thick your lines are. This is a good project to do at night when you're watching television and have nothing better to do. Well, we always have something else better to do, but you can kind of relax. And it's just a matter of tracing your lines. I mainly use black. When I do my paintings, I have a tendency to outline everything in a freehand form. And this will kind of, it sets off your images. And like I said, you can use different sizes. And it doesn't have to match perfect with the design underneath, unless you got a little bit of OCD and you want it to be perfect to apply them. Now when you first do this, it takes a little time to get used to how hard to squeeze the bottles. Those of you who do use applicators for different things know what I mean. I have tried different applicators, but since Dana showed me these, it's like these are my favorite. And I like that you can interchange the tips. The tip is an 18 gauge. And like I said, depending on how hard you squeeze, you can have a nice thin line like I have, or you can make a thicker line. I also use these to sign the bottom of my pots. So it's my actual signature that is on there.
Terry says she has trouble with the needle resting. Do you have that problem?
No, At this point, I don't. My youngest daughter did buy me a sonic jewelry cleaner, and when I take the tips off of them, I'll put them in there and it cleans them out. That way they don't get clogged. And you can get those pretty reasonable. I believe she found it on through Amazon. I think it might have been about $20, $25 there. But it's a good way to keep your tips clean. Another thing is when you're not using it, kind of tap it on the table so that the glaze goes back into the bottle. But before you start, make sure you shake it up. That thins out your glazes a little bit. I do keep a wet sponge here because sometimes the glaze sticks on the end. And it's good to get it off so you have a nice, smooth, even line. Now with my work, I draw these lines freehand. But some of us don't have that talent, or their talent lies somewhere else, which is one of the reasons I came up with this technique. And I'm sure I'm not the first one that has done it. But the one thing I do ask is that when you start doing this, don't just use other people's designs, create your own. Now, I'm working on a set of dishes for my son and his beautiful wife. And in order to put the design on these plates, I'm going to have images made up so that I can easily transfer it so that they all look similar. I don't want it to be mass produced, like the dishes you see in the stores. I want each plate to have their own little character, and with doing this, that's what you'll get. So as you can see, I now have a black and white image, and this is underglaze, not regular glaze, underglaze. So this is going to have to take a little while to dry. Unfortunately, it's raining here, and so there's a lot of moisture in the air, so it's going to take a little while. But I have some pieces ready to go. This is an image of the daisies. And the nice thing about the tissue paper, I can trim it to whatever shape and size I want. If I just want to have that one flower, I can do that. I know the other underglaze papers that you can get through different manufacturers are nice, but sometimes you want to be create your own designs. Be different from everybody else. Another thing I like about having tissue paper, this is a low fire cup that I got out of our Paint Your Own Pottery. I forgot my cups at home, but just to show you with laying this on here, I can lay it in any direction. And I do like to have my pieces kind of overlap and go into it. Sorry about that. So what I will do is trim it. I probably should do a flat one first, but we'll get started with the more difficult one. Kind of trim it like this. And what I'm going to do is lay it over the side of the cup in a direction. Sorry, we are in the studio, and the phone just does like to ring when you're busy. With the tissue paper, I can roll this over. And you kind of trim it so that you can go inside if one of my spots was not dry. You will need a spray bottle, and I use a fan brush, especially on round surfaces, so that it kind of goes around that way. I lightly wet it. This way I can push the tissue paper. I start in the center and push it to the outside so that it lays nice and smooth on your cup. And if you do have any kind of texture on your piece, with the brush and the water, you can get it around. Now on the inside, I can do the same thing. I'm not sure if you're getting this picture. My daughter had to step away to answer the phone, so I don't know what questions are coming in, but as we get towards the end, I will go over some of the questions. And as you can see, I now have the image on the inside as well as the outside of the cup. I do a lot of my paintings that way, especially with flowers. I do like the leaves to kind of encompass even down towards the bottom. Sometimes you can do it around the handles. You don't want to soak it too much, but you do want to be able to get the underglaze to release from the actual paper. Now let's see here. All right, and this is the reveal. All right, it doesn't quite. Everybody wants this today. All right, I didn't have much success with this, but to get an idea of that, you can have your shapes that go around the cups. I was a little thin on the underglaze as I was painting this one. So at this point, what you can do, sorry about that. Everybody wants to talk to me right now. So, but as you can see with this is the same design on this cup. So I put the lines on there, and then you can paint it in, just like you do a coloring book, you put your colors into it. This one I didn't quite get inside a little bit with some of the flowers. All right, and another one. On this one, I already put some underglaze on inside the dish. And the reason for that is that sometimes you see people's designs that the lines aren't sitting right on the edge. You like that little bit of a difference. So I have the glaze, the underglaze on this one. It's ready to go. It's a flat surface. I'm going to kind of line it up with the yellow that's on here.
Okay, we got a couple questions. I got kicked out.
All right, what are the questions?
Do you ever use newsprint?
A newspaper is a little stiffer, the newsprint. I found with the tissue paper, it's more flexible, especially if you have grooves in your plate. Matter of fact, I have a plate that I'll show next that has a raised design in it, but I want to be able to put a flower over top of it.
Oh, here's a neat one. Can you put it on creamer too, bone dry or leather hard?
I use underglazes directly on the clay. With this technique, you should be able to do it. I don't think I've tried it yet. And just don't wet the clay too much because it will smear. Like I said, I lightly spray it, start in the center, and just come out to the edge.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's being stupid.
All right. Let's see if I wet it enough. Oh, that one smeared a little bit. But you can do that. All right, I know there is some potters out there that do splashes of colors and then come back in with black lines to do different things over top of it. And this is one of the ways you can do that. And you can find your designs anywhere on the internet through kids' coloring books. If you're an artist, take some of your own designs and do them with underglazes. All right, now that's with putting the underglaze on the actual piece. I have experimented with, this is Lido White, it's a cone 6 glaze, and I did put a dragonfly over top of it. So it got a little bit more muted, but I kind of like the effect. So depending on how thick your lines are, will determine how much of it will come through. All right, now, with this one, I did all the color right on the, goodness gracious, tissue paper. All right, I'm going to take a little bowl to show you how easy it will be. I have a couple potters that I did a class with, and two of them are using this technique to decorate their pottery. And the one lady is selling her stuff faster than she can make it. Now with this, I did the black outline first, and then I came in and added the purple and the green. And I'm just going to put it inside the bowl. And that's one thing I like about the tissue paper. Once it's wet, and I'm using the brush, let me spritz this a little bit first. You can help it to conform to the actual shape. Doing it upside down is a little hard. And I like using fan brushes. They're soft. The fan brushes I use are very inexpensive. I mainly started buying them because of teaching kids. And you give a kid a $10 fan brush and they destroy it in 2 seconds. All right. You can also take it up and over the edge. All right. And the reveal, well, it doesn't look like I had enough of the purple on here. But you want to make sure that you apply at least 2 to 3 coats of the color on there, so that when you do peel it off, you get a little bit of like a muted effect to it. So I apologize, this one didn't quite come out as purple as much as I'd like to, but you can go back in and add that after you're done. All right. Now this is the plate I was telling you about. If you can see, there's a little bit of texture here. All right. And I'm going to take one of these. Do I have any others here? This is just I guess like a mum. So all those little designs, this will fit over top of it. It's been a while since I've done this technique, so I wasn't sure. I think I was just a little too light with the underglazes. All right.
I'm not getting any comments or anything.
Okay. Unfortunately, we're not getting any of the comments at the moment. This is all bisque, and I do my own personal work. I do on greenware when I do my actual painting, and I start off with the underglazes, and then I come in with the black to add to it. But with this, you come in and you do the black first, and then Chris, can you get me a plate or one of the things so I can put some glaze on it? Thank you. Then you can just color it in, just like you do a coloring book. You paint inside the lines. And at this point, if you do 1 to 2 coats, you're going to get more of a watercolor effect.
I think it's the internet.
All right, I think our internet is acting up here. Hopefully everybody's still there and you can see what I'm doing. And one of the other things about black underglaze, even if you go over the lines, it will come through. We do House of Hope Empty Bowls dinner every year. And myself and several potters make the bowls, and then we draw designs in them with the underglaze, and then bisque fire them. Once they're bisque fired, we ask our local community to come in and paint them. And so far, this year we have 212 bowls that the community has painted from the age of 3 on up to into their 70s and 80s. This is our 5th year of doing it, and people really enjoy it. If you like to add some highlights to your color, instead of just being plain yellow, you can add the orange to it. Double load your brush with 2 colors and bring it in. All right. I wanted to add, what else to this? To show you on this side, we're going to put a butterfly. Where's my water? Here it is. All right. So not only do I have the texture of the plate with the scrolls, but I now have the designs of flowers and butterflies. You can put on as many as you want or as little. This is a great project for kids who get self-confident and say, oh, I can't draw or whatever. We teach them to show them how to trace the design that they want, and then they can put it on the sides of their cups or their plates. You can do words also, but the thing you have to do, remember, is to take it to your copier and reverse it so that when you do add it to your picture, to your pot, that it's in the right direction. And we have a beautiful butterfly. So if you see the designs on the back as well as the butterflies and the flower. I do fire with a clear glaze. I do not use a commercial glaze because I found with brushing them on, if you overlapped, you got like a smoky effect or cloudy effect. I mix my own. It's a recipe from Mastering Cone 6, their clear liner glaze, and I do spray it on. I have dipped, but the only thing is with dipping, sometimes you get that drip, and that kind of clouds the picture. And with the amount of work that I do in my pieces, I prefer to spray it. If you have that book, can't think of the name, but it's called Mastering Cone 6, and there's a clear liner glaze. It's easy to make, and it's a great clear. But it does need to be fired to a cone 6. All right, we're coming up on the half hour. One thing, that's the next project. I do have little shapes like this for Christmas ornaments. So say if you wanted to do a Christmas ornament, you can also do that. You can add your little piece to it. These are things that with kids that they can, it's simple enough that they can trace the design, put it on these shapes. Just want to make sure. And we just do the reveal. I now have a bug on this. So for those people who like scarabs or whatever, I do suggest that, if you start doing this thing, make your own designs. And it doesn't have to be of a flower or whatever. It could be swirls. It could be graffito or anything that you can put on your pieces. And it's an easy way of doing it. And there's not much that you need other than this tissue paper. I know somebody mentioned rice paper transfers Underglaze earlier, and they're great. And it's if that's where you want to go with it. But personally, I like to be do my own type of work. All right. Once those pieces are finished, I will put them, a copy of them on the clay buddies. So I'll finish getting them decorated and clear coated and fired up. Our next, excuse me. Right now I'm working on a new technique with black wax resist. Some of you may have seen these on the clay buddies already or someplace else, but I've been doing the flower design that I showed earlier, which I hand paint for 30 years at least. And I keep looking for different ways of doing it. And a few years ago, somebody mentioned black wax resist. And they were using it as like a blackboard on pottery. Well, I was making these little spice bottles, and I thought that would be cool on the back so you could write whatever spice it is. But when I did it, I wasn't quite happy with it, so the wax resist sat up on the shelf for a while. And then it just hit me one day, why don't I use that instead of Underglazes? And so I have, it's from Aftosa, although Aftosa went out of business, unfortunately. Leslie Ceramics took them over, and I believe they're now out of business. But I researched the internet this morning, and one place I did find it was the ceramic shop in Philadelphia. And they sell like, I think 2 or 4 ounce bottles. It's not cheap, but it's worth trying. This particular pot, I drew the design on, and then I filled in the colors with Mako Stroke and Coats. They were designed, the stroke and coats were designed for low fire, paint your own pottery type things, but they can be fired up to a cone 6. You just look on the sides of the bottles and they tell you whether they fade or whatever. I know this particular purple has a tendency to fade, but if you put it on nice and thick, it'll stay a nice purple. I have an affinity for the mountains. We live in Front Royal, Virginia. We're right near the entrance to the Skyline Drive. It's a beautiful little town, and so I'm kind of doing pottery that's related to that right now. As I said, trying out a new technique for my flowers. This was one that I just recently started doing. The clay that I'm using is Starworks Star Brown. They're out of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a fairly new clay company, and I love their clay. I use the Star Brown, and I use the Star White. I also use Standard 101, 181, and I'm trying to think of the other one. I'll come back to that. But right now, this is the Star Brown. I love the natural look of it. I love that the colors pop on it. And I've had people say it kind of looks like an enameling, but it's actually just the wax resist and the stroke and coats. And that's where all these wonderful little bottles of color come into effect. So every color that I use is in one of these bottles. Make sure you tap the glaze down when you're finished, shake it up when you're getting ready to use it. I do, as I said, draw my own designs on the pieces. Let me move this off to the side.
Someone asked about a good cone 6 clear.
Like the cone 6 clear that I use is Mastering Cone 6 Clear Liner Glaze. It's a recipe that you mix yourself. As far as commercial glazes, I have used the Mako, I have used Amico. But if you are brushing it on and you do go over it one too many times, it will cloud. I did have an incident where I used, was on a porcelain clay, an Amico High Fire Clear, and it crazed. And when I called the manufacturer, at that point he told me I should have used the zinc free clear. And I said, well, maybe I should have, but it would have been nice to know to use that before I did it, because I have a beautiful teapot and cups and they're crazed and you can't use them because they will stain over time in those little cracks. I've had a lot of people interested in the teapot, but it's now a family heirloom. So daisies are my favorite flower, and you'll see them in just about everything that I do. I started making these little pictures. They're about guess about 8 inches tall. I love the colors that they pop on top of the brown. There's a few lucky people, 5 of you out there, that will be getting my little shot glasses with the mountains on them. I do want to say, though, with the black wax resist, it will not turn black in low fire. This is a low fire tile fire to a cone 05, and what it does is it turns gray, but it's a powder. It will wipe off. So don't use it in low fire, but definitely use it in the high fire. All right, now.
I've got a couple of questions for you.
Okay, sure.
Okay, where do you get your fan brushes?
All right, these wonderful fan brushes are from Chinese Clay Art. You get about 5 or 6 of them in a pack for like $6. They're great for the kids. They are synthetic, and but I found with children it's much easier for them to paint with the synthetic bristles. And when they do glaze something, I tell them to glaze it like they're icing a cake, not like they're painting on canvas or a paper or whatever, because you smooth it out too much. So I have them dip it in, bring it out, and just ice in the cake, and that's what they do, and they do quite well with it, because kids don't like to put 3 coats of glaze on a piece. So having that icing effect, they at least get enough color on there so things brighten up. All right, so I've extra tips. Sorry.
Okay.
You have another question?
Do you glaze for the clear and then high fire? So when you do your underglazes.
Okay. When I paint with my underglazes, I paint directly on greenware, and then I will add my clear over top of it, and I do one-time firing. It's something that I started doing many years ago because we were dealing with campgrounds and facilities with kids that only had like a week to make something, and they usually only got to make 1 or 2 pieces. But with one-time firing, they can at least make a couple pieces throughout the week, and then on Thursday night, the directors can then fire it so that they can take several pieces home with them. And so far, it's been very successful. I do a lot of even my high fire. I'll make something on one day, put handles on it the next day, glaze it that night, bring it in, clear coat it, and put it in the kiln. You do a preheat, okay, depending on how wet it is. I can do a preheat from anywhere from 3 hours to up to 8 hours in order to make sure it's dry. I'll put them in my kiln in the morning, and then I will check them before I leave at the end of the day. And if there's no moisture coming out, then I let it go ahead and fire. And I've had a lot of success with it. Now, our next technique is with the black wax resist. Once again, this wonderful applicator is in here. Now, I am going to freehand the design on here. Let's see if I can get this to do it. Just to show you how easy it is to draw these designs. I'm doing this upside down, so it's a little bit different. Now, it looks gray at this point, but when it fires, it will be black. All right. Once again, my little daisies. I grew up in the coal mining town of Shamokin, Pennsylvania, and everywhere grew these wild daisies. The kind you say, he loves me, he loves me not. Yeah, those are my favorite. They're hard to find.
Can you do the black wax resist on just regular greenware?
I haven't tried it on greenware only because the tip has a tendency to clog, and with dragging it across clay, it can clog a little easier. So I just bisque fire. When I know I'm doing these pieces, I'll bisque fire my brown clay, and I bisque fire to an 04. But it's something that, you know, as potters and artists, we have a tendency to try new things. So go ahead and try it. Goodness, it's a little different trying to draw upside down. finish it this way. So there you go. And that's your design. And one of the things I wouldn't recommend putting on the inside of a pot because I don't think it would be food safe because it's just the black just leaves an image. So when I do this technique, I do it on the outside of pots, outside of cups, and things like this. But I do like to add a pop of color on the inside of everything I make. Whether I do the underglazes or I do the Mako stroking coats, that bright color that just pops and comes out. I use the purple and the greens and the whites. This is one of my bowls. All right, this is stroke and coat orchid. Now I did put like maybe 4 coats on it because it does have a tendency to burn out. And this is the side. So like I said, I like bright colors. I love the spring. I love the mountains, so I add it all into it. All right, and let's see, I don't know if I did the bottoms of these pots. No, I just said the name. Usually on the bottoms of my pots, here's one. This is done with Underglaze. It's my signature daisy. I know it looks a little, it's backwards. My camera. But anyway, it's something different, something personalized on the bottom of your pots is great. With doing the black wax resist, you can sign your name, do a little different design on the bottom, and it'll burn off. It won't stick to the kiln. I do have a piece here ready. It's just a small cup at this point, but just to show you how easy it is to apply this. You might want to put your finger over the tip of it before you shake it, because sometimes you'll get some glaze. All right. Questions?
Do you add color right after black resist and then glaze fire?
All right. You do the black wax resist. You want it to dry because the other piece, if I touched it now, there's some wet spots on it. Doesn't take that long to dry, but once it's dry, you now have the wax on there, and it's kind of like a dam. It'll hold all your glazes inside of it. Let's see if I can get this up here far enough.
Can you just use a regular wax and dye it with an oxide?
That I don't know. I leave that up to the experts. But as you can see with the needle, I can stay with inside those lines, put a nice thick coat on my glaze, of the glaze. Now this is a cottontail from Stroke and Coat. And you're just squeezing the glaze and kind of moving it around into the spots.
So all the glazes used to fill in are Mako stroke.
Yes. Now Dana, she uses Emiko's Potter's Choice. Check her out on Facebook. She has beautiful work. Matter of fact, this was one of the tiles that I made at her workshop. So these are all Potter's Choice, I think. I know they're Cone 5/6 glazes, but some of them are Potter's Choice. I'll have to confer with her. It's been a while since. But when I started doing this technique, Dana offered a workshop, and my children were so sweet to give it to me as a birthday gift back in October. So I learned some better techniques with Dana, and she's helped me to get to where I'm at right now. All right, any other questions?
Do you not find the underglaze will stick to your kiln shelf, or is your signature in a raised area?
No, I've never had a problem with my underglaze sticking. I fired a cone 6 in my kilns. My kiln shelves are kiln washed, and I've never had an underglaze. And I better knock on some wood because watch that'll happen next time. But no, I don't have any problems with that. Majority of my pots are flat bottom. As much as I try to make a nice foot, I always seem to mess it up. So I have learned to just be happy with the flat bottom. It gives me a nice surface to put my signature on, put a design on. Now I have made mistakes where I've used some of the Stroke and Coats by mistake. Now they will stick. Yeah. Oh, it's Dana Lair Dance. Thank you, Laura. I mix up her last name. but she does beautiful work. So check her out. We have a lot of talented people in Virginia, and being a pottery supply store, I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of them and become friends with them. And we share a lot of our different techniques.
Oh, I had somebody ask about the black wax resist. Do you use it straight out of the bottle, or did I dilute
Nope,
it?
straight out of the bottle. I use it straight out of the bottle. So depending on how much color you want to add, well, not like this, usually daisies, I do it all the way around in white, but I do like to add, oh, I don't have a red. Let's go with an orange. This is jack-o'-lantern.
And when you do your underglaze pieces, do you dilute the underglaze?
No, I use, well, it depends on what I'm trying to do with it. I use my underglazes just like I do paints, but you do have to do some test tiles to make sure you get the effect that you want. If you want a watercolor effect, you want to do 1 to 2 coats. But if you want those nice bright colors, for example, like these red flowers, I use bright red with that. I do 1 coat of bright red, and then the second and third coats, I double load my brush up with white and red so that I can get that shaded effect. Same thing with the purples. That's purple and white mixed together. The blue and white, I do a stippling effect of medium blue and white, and I just kind of dab it on there. Now, the daisies, the white, firing to cone 6, that I will put 4 to 5 coats on because it does have a tendency to burn out at the higher temperatures. But it's a good thing to, make a test tile of the different glazes and try 1, 2, 3 strokes. Try it with blending other colors to it. And that way you'll know. It took me a little trying of experimenting with colors. Because the first time I started glazing with them, it was like, okay, I know what I want. But until you actually do it and use them, you don't know what you're going to have.
So what you're using right now is not underglaze, right?
No, these are a stroke and coats. They're an actual glaze. You do have to be careful with these because some clear glazes will make these run. I did a mug years ago, and I used the stroke and coats, the same of flowers, the same design, and I used. I don't remember what the glaze was. The clear glaze was one of the commercial ones, and it muted all the colors. It ended up looking like a Monet painting instead of my flowers. And at first I thought, oh, I'm going to throw them away. But the more I looked at them, I liked them. So I'd have to try it again, see if I can duplicate it. But if you like that muted effect of the flowers from Monet, it's a good thing, good way to try it.
Oh, it looks like somebody has issues with Duncan underglaze sticking to the shelf.
All right.
But that's not what you use, right?
No, I use Amico's velvet underglazes. I have tried Duncan. I have tried others, but I always came back to Amico's. There's just something about them, and I won't switch from them. Now, in a pinch, if I run out of a certain color and I'm able to get, all right, this one's clogged. Then, well, one of the nice things about this, take it off. I can get a new needle, and I'm ready to go, hopefully. Unless this is too thick. There we go.
So on your new design, why are you not just using underglazes? Why did you decide to do this?
I was looking for a different technique. The underglazes are kind of flat, where with this, it's a raised surface. It's like, if you're thinking of puffy stickers that the kids love, they're dimensional, and attach them to something like this, that's what it feels like. They're raised more. And I just kind of like the effect. Now, I won't give up on painting because that's my first love, but I do like trying to do something different every once in a while. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? let's see, we got about 15 minutes left here.
Okay, so remind everybody where you got the bottles from, and then we'll put a link when we're done.
I got the information from Dana Dance. You know who she is. But anyway, I do have a link, and I will post it in the comments of this workshop so that everybody will have them, along with the needles. Now, this particular needle is, I think, 1.5 inches. You might want to go with someone that's a little bit smaller, which is about 1 inch. So it depends. I kind of like the longer needle. And just kind of fill everything in. It's very fun and relaxing. Now, with painting with a brush, I could paint this in probably less time, but I like the effects. I like what I'm getting with it. And I only paint on the outside of my pieces. For inside, for cups and bowls, I would recommend doing a solid color. So that way it's food safe. Let's see, do I have any other?
Do you know if the wax can be fired up to cone 10?
Good question. I'm not sure, because I only fired to cone 6. It would be a question to ask the ceramic shop in Philadelphia, because I know they're the only ones that are selling it right now. I looked for it this morning, and that was the only place that I could find it. Let's see. On this piece, all right, as you can see, there's still some gray spots, so that those are still wet. Now, if I tried to put the glaze on with that, it might smear and run into it. If you do any kind of caricatures, all kinds of fun stuff. I'm trying to think what else I have here that I can possibly show you. This was that original design that I was doing in the beginning. It's not quite dry yet, so that's why I recommend you know, if you can do this at night when you're sitting there watching TV, by the next morning it's ready to go. You can do 20 sheets. You can do a whole sheet of different designs and cut them out to fit what you want. It's your original work. It's not going to be, you know, like a paisley print or some of the designs that are out there that you can buy commercially. You know, be creative, be original, and be yourself. You know, don't copy other people's work. Let me flip you back up here so I can see everybody. Hi. You know, I mainly want for you to see what I was doing as I was doing the different projects. I can probably read some of the commercials here. Yeah, we're a family business here. Mike Swager is the kiln doctor. Like I said, he's the one that fixes our kilns and pottery equipment. And we have Explore Art and Clay, which is where we do the different workshops. I teach some classes. My daughters teach classes. We bring in other potters and professional people to do other workshops. Like I said, I have a huge studio. I have the slab roller, my kilns. I have a spray booth. I have a pug mill, which is awesome. And we do offer studio space for local potters. I have 4 wheels in the shop at the moment that people can come in and use them. We do have our supplies, so you can get clay, glazes, tools, equipment here. We have a gallery where we help our potters that are our customers sell their pieces. And then we have the paint your own pottery. We didn't want to get into that, but a lot of our townsfolk says, you need to do this. So we've been doing it about 1.5 years, and it's been really building. Unfortunately, with the shutdown of everything right now, we closed that part of it, although we do offer kits for that. Parents can come up and we'll meet them at the curb where they can take some clay and pottery pieces home. So hopefully we can do that. All right, let's see some of this. No, I've never added wax to my underglaze. Like I said, you know, experiment yourself. Try it. You know, just do a little piece and then see how it works. Let us know. Any other questions? I'll have to go back in and review the questions that we had earlier. Unfortunately, Crystal had to leave in the middle of it. Where are we located? We are in Front Royal, Virginia, right near the entrance to the Skyline Drive, if you've ever been on it or near it. So if you ever come to Virginia and you want to take a ride in the Skyline, stop in and visit us here.
Appalachian Trail.
Do you glaze over the wax? No, I haven't, but I'm sure that you could probably, my lines are so thin that it would have to go in and actually retrace all the lines to take that off, take the glaze off. You're welcome. The bottles and the tips, like I said, I'll put them in the comments, a link to where you can find them. And you can get the various tips for it. I really like the fact that you can take the tips off of them. I also use sewing, where is it? Here we go. These are quilter's pins. You can find them in the sewing store. You can put them in there and so that the things aren't clogged. All right. But when you are done using your bottles, kind of tap them so the glaze goes back down into the bottom. And that way they won't air. Because of this, they won't dry out. All right. Any questions? How long are our workshops? Anywhere from 2 hours to 3 days, depending on who the presenter is. We had some wonderful workshops coming up, but because of COVID-19, we have to put everything on hold. And we still have 10 minutes, so if you have any questions, so much to learn in so little time. It's been great having the Facebook and Clay Buddies doing this for everybody. It's a great way of us sharing what we have and what we're able to do. Being a teaching facility, it's just something that it's near and dear to my heart. You know, I like sharing what I learn and what I do, and I like it when other people share with me. But whatever I learn, I try to make it my own. I don't want, like with Dina, I went and took her workshop, and I don't want to create what she's doing. I want to create my own art with it. Show us your wax, please. This one was from Aftosa, but they're no longer in business. It's AFTOSA Black Wax Resist. That was the only place that I knew of to get it. Then they closed down, and Leslie Ceramics took them over. So once they opened up, I bought 2 more bottles. So I have 2 bottles here that I'm hoarding. But I did research the internet this morning, and the ceramic shop in Philadelphia, it is on their website. I'm not sure about Laguna or Axner if they have it. So I would just research Black Wax Resist, and you might be able to find it.
It looks like the one on Ceramic Shop is their own.
Okay.
And it's a cone 5 to 7.
All right. The one at the ceramic shop is a cone 5 to 7. So I don't think it would go up to cone 10.
I'm trying to see if Axner has it.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Terry. Yes. Rewiring your kiln or doing anything, helping you set up. It's part of what we do here. Nope, I used the wax directly out of the bottle. As you can see, it flowed pretty smoothly. All right, well, I'll have to get a hold of Mark from the ceramic shop and say, hey, you need to make some up. So if not, we'll have to find somebody who has it. Let's see, as far as Aptosa, I don't think they're in business anymore, so you might have pulled up a different website. Thank you. And let's see, we've got a few more minutes yet, but I can take you on a quick walk around our studio if you'd like to see. My wheels are a little messy because we've been busy, but this is where my wheels are set up, and my 3 kilns are back there. I love these rolly carts. One of the things I have, I can show you some of the House of Hope empty bowls that we have done. Can I get a picture of this? There we go. We do all these little cartoon characters and fish, and it's a great way for the community to help. Can you see them, Chris? You're not looking. Okay.
My
There we go. There's one of
my
them.
video is not working, but I am getting comments. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
This is Crystal. This is the emergency room over here, and there's Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
But this is just the studio part of it. We have another portion of the building where we have we have a warehouse for our clay and supplies, and then we have the other portion where our gallery and our store is, as far as you can come in and buy supplies. Hi, Dana. All right. Yes, it's Wacky Wax from the ceramic shop. Hi, Stacy. Stacy says hi to everybody. So, if there's no more questions, hopefully we can, check us out on Facebook. As far as, like I said, I'll post all this information for you. That way you can, check it all out. And this was fun, a little exciting. And thank you, Stacy. Yes. And hopefully, we'll get to see more wonderful, great. I'm blocking the camera here. All right. Any other questions? Hi, Laura. Yes. How you forgot the word link? Yeah, Link is my my name, Arline J. Link, and yeah, it's kind of funny. Hi, Finland. Hi, Michelle, and thank you. Thank you all for coming in and joining us, and hope to see you again soon. No, I can't see you, Dana. You're all welcome. And like I said, you can always contact me again if you have any further questions on how to do this. And we can do a live video chat just between the two of us, or however you want to do it. Hi, Tim. Oh, you're sweet. I had the pleasure of meeting Tim this past October at our clay conference here in Virginia. We do a Mid-Atlantic Clay Conference, and Tim was one of our presenters. It was an awesome presentation. All right. Like I said, I'll go back and look over the comments and try to answer everybody. Our internet was acting up a little bit, so Crystal didn't get to see them all. And then having the phones ring didn't help, so. But you're all welcome to come visit us in Front Royal, Virginia. And that's at the Kiln Doctor Explore Art and Clay. So, and this is Arline saying goodbye, and you have a wonderful day. Bye. All right, I have to hit finish.